say? God is good, but it's a day in the neighborhood. I'm trying to do a lot at one time, so again, I will only be on about 30 minutes because on the other side of the wall is a young man who we are going to celebrate his life in a minute, who at 1 o'clock. But another person from our community. This guy was always joking, always smiling. And I was going to talk about, and I just left another service at Mount Aaron, was at the funeral home last night for another service. It's a tough time around here. Been talking a lot about mental health. So what I want to do today is spend time talking about the families, but I want to remind you that there is mental health counseling and spiritual help at Johnny B. Wiley still daily from 1 to 9. Again, I want to thank all of those agencies who have joined together to provide that. And I want to thank the County of Erie. And a lot of people don't understand that's part of their job. And they deal with health and wellness. So good job in getting there, doing the job, making sure they're there. So I put in a resolution to ask them to consider staying through the summer. And then we got to look at how we make something like that a permanent fixture in our community, not just during tragedy. Because one of the counselors told me, an African-American woman, that she has talked to so many people who never sought out counseling or therapy, and that to me is so encouraging. And I think the more we normalize taking care of our mental health, we take care of our physical health very well. People run, some people do. I'm not gonna pretend I do the best at times. I just ate fast food because I was starving. I just had to have something. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you talk about food deserts, it's not just grocery stores.
That's
restaurants.
Good food choices.
If you think about it, Maddie's is gone. Gigi's is gone. I did take a jaunt down the street to Miss Goody's for breakfast the other day. But these establishments used to be like when I came into the office, I could run down right down the street and get it. I got the Honorable Crystal People Stokes, who is with us, the Majority Leader, New York State Assembly.
The Golden Cup, they have an amazing egg and cheese sandwich on it.
Give her a little more mic.
Yep.
Say it again.
At the Golden Cup, they have an amazing egg and cheese on croissant. And a cup of green tea.
I'm glad you told me that.
Perfect.
Green tea. Yeah, when I go to her house, you all, let me tell you this. She likes morning meetings, number one, that I hate, although I am becoming more of a morning person because the boys have to get up, Monique has to get up. I hate mornings so much that when people see on social media me cooking, and they go, oh, what a good husband. That ain't because I'm being a good husband. That's because we made an agreement that she would get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to take both the boys to school, and I would not. And that I would cook dinner so that when she gets off work, it's done.
That's a great agreement.
Yeah, I washed clothes. I wash clothes. I dry clothes. I hate folding clothes.
Amen.
Yeah. Oh, I love washing, though. That taking something dirty and putting it in there and it comes out all nice. I got all my little different things I put in there. But that's our agreement, that I make sure the boys' chores are done. So when she gets home, she don't have to do anything but sometimes grab some out of the dryer. So people think I'm doing this because I want to be a good husband. I'm doing this because I don't want to get up. So now I'm starting to get up more.
I was going to say, but in your song, I Want to Be a Good Man or whatever, that song that you was...
I love that song. I just want to be a good man, good man. Are they gonna knock us off for me singing?
No, we good.
So before I get to the real stuff, I'm just, the Nugget is calling my name. The Nugget is calling my name. Crystal People Stokes, when I go to her house, doesn't have sugar, you all. She uses all this natural stuff, all this natural healing stuff, putting it in her tea. No, but you did buy me some sugar.
I did. I still have it.
Is it still there for when I come over?
Yes. Sugar doesn't go bad, It will sit there and wait for you.
Yeah, well, thank you, because I was tired of coming to those morning meetings, and Mark put the camera on her so I was tired of coming to those so I could put this nugget in my mouth. And you ain't having the sugar. How you feeling? I know you've been busy.
I feel okay. I feel like this has all just been a struggle that even though I don't want to, I'm prepared to try to deal with. Mm-hmm. So I just get up every day and thank God that I have another opportunity to try to help my people.
Yeah. So today, in my last 20 minutes, I attended a service, attended several, and when I've spoken, because most of the time I just walk through, give respects to the family and leave. And there's a real reason, and you and I kind of discussed this before we came on air. I don't think when we have people's homegoing celebrations, it's the time to talk politics and laws.
I've been to 2 today. I have not said a word except God bless you, I love you.
Yeah.
To the family, individually.
Because families, I mean, I've been to events where I've talked about it, but those events were set up for that type of thing. When I did the prayer over at Antioch, Reverend Sharpton was there. It was set up for that.
Right.
But going to a homegoing service, I'm not going to talk about, and this is just me, and it's not throwing up. I'll be very honest. I haven't been where I've heard anybody say anything. I'm only talking about Darius. That's all. Because I don't want anybody to say, oh, he talked. Nope. Don't even know what other folks said, to be honest. I feel if it was my loved one, I want to keep the concentration on my loved one because that loved one is gone.
Absolutely.
And then after that, we can have all the conversation in the world about gun laws. And even today, I'm not going to deal with gun laws. Maybe next week we deal with them and talk about them and go in depth. But right now, let's celebrate the people who we have lost. Yeah. Who did you know personally?
Let me just say this. I remember when my best friend in the whole world died. She lived in Harlem, like a 4th-generation Harlemite. Every elected official you can imagine knew her because she's been through that process. But she had already decided that she did not want that at her funeral. The only 2 people who spoke at her funeral was me, and I was like this, nervous. I didn't speak at funerals, and Reverend Al Sharpton. And so for me, I can get the value in that. People are mourning, people are hurting. They really don't need to necessarily hear from elected officials unless they had a firsthand, deep-seated relationship knowledge with their loved one.
Yes.
If you didn't have that, the only reason you're there is to support the family.
Yes.
So I have no need to say anything except I am sorry for your loss. I love you. I'm praying for your comfort.
And move out of the way. Because I think that sometimes, and especially, Buffalo doesn't have a lot of high-profile events, and so we have to be careful that we don't use the death of other people as a springboard. If you want to talk about laws and all that, do that on a news show, do that on your own show, do that wherever, but showing up to these families. So I want to celebrate the families. I want to, so I'll talk about several that I knew, and one was Kat. Kat.
I would have spoke with her. I knew her like
you
this.
knew her, right? You knew her.
Yes.
And her family is asking for the city to do something special, and I'm making that happen in the Ellicott district. But I've been to her house.
Happen around those Indicra symbols that she got put on.
That's where they want it, over that way.
Happen around that.
Yeah. You remember?
That's
well,
all
obviously
her.
you
That's
remember.
all
That's
Kat.
Kat.
Yeah.
So Kat. When you say community activists, a lot of people think of angry people. We're demanding this and that. Kat was a community activist, and she wasn't angry.
She was active, getting things done.
Yes, active, talking about, writing about it and wanting to see her community improved. And she invited me to her house. I've sat in her house when she lived right by the 33,
Right.
and was always pleasant and caring. And so we're gonna miss Kat a
Good
lot.
spirit.
Who else did you know?
Well, I knew Mrs. Whitfield. Not,
Amy
deeply.
Zion, of course.
Yes, because of Durham. I knew sort of kind of the guy that drove the jitney at Tops because I would always see him. We would always speak.
Yeah.
I certainly knew Al Salters, and I will miss his smile going into that. I remember how he helped people, literally, he would help people put their groceries in the car, too. He was supposed to be the security guard, but he really was a helpful person in that space right there. He loved that store, and I didn't find this out until yesterday because I went to visit his sister. Their mother, Carol Salter, used to be the front-end manager of the Tops in Central Park for I want to say 2 decades. And I remember
You talking about
that.
Carol Salter?
Carol Salters.
That was his mom?
That was his mom.
I had not
So he loved Tops. He loved
Carol
Tops
Salter,
from his
who
mother.
was married to, am I with the
Yes,
wrong?
the one that ended up at Wuffo. That Carol Salter.
Carol Salter, the one I buried.
Yes.
And married.
Yes.
I had see, this is why I wanted to talk about those who are gone. Wow. I didn't know that.
Well, his sister
Is that mine?
Cashel,
Oh, okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
his sister Cashel, spoke with me at length yesterday. I just went to go sit and talk to her. Brought some Polish donuts and we sat down and talked.
Yeah, he was a
I did
nice
eat a
man.
donut. Don't look at me like that.
You did eat. Thank you, because I just ate a nugget. So, I'm really happy. You know, when one sin, they want everybody else to sin. Shucks, thank you for sinning and telling everybody.
Not me today.
So many people are commenting online. I'm going to come to your comments in just a minute. You could tell me online on Facebook or on YouTube if you knew anybody, and let's celebrate life today. But yeah, he was a nice guy.
Yes, he was.
And at the end of the day, he was everybody in that store. There's so many heroes that we don't know about who helped people to get out, who were there and who just had to live through it. And so him to be able to get off around and he gave his life. He gave no greater love. There's just no greater love.
No greater love.
So I'm looking through. I print up everybody that we have because let's see.
I was going to say,
go ahead.
You're flipping. Ross just said the newsroom at Wolfo is named after his
Carol
mother.
Salter.
Yep.
Yes.
I knew that, but I
picture is up
didn't.
there.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I worked with Carol so long.
She saved Wuffo.
Yeah, she did a good job there.
Yeah.
She really did. Aaron Salter, 55. I've got everybody's name. Ruth Whitfield, who you just brought up, and she'll be funeralized tomorrow. And 86 years old, driving, going to see her husband. But thank God that this was a woman who lived her life, loved people, and loved God.
Yes.
And has left a legacy of family members who are responsible citizens. Her son was the fire commissioner. And I know that the Amy Zion, I talked to Bishop Proctor, he called me. The Amy Zion Church is really going to miss, and not just Amy Zion Church, the Durham Church, and her family is going to miss her. But we know that she knew the Lord and gave and did everything she could for her Savior, Jesus Christ. Let me see. I hope I have everybody. Hayward Patterson, which was the driver, and my dad, who knows everybody. He couldn't pick up somebody he had to pick up, and he asked my dad a couple weeks ago, could you pick up like an elderly person? And of course, my dad was like, yeah, So when my dad found out, and my dad still has a hard time going to homegoings after his mom has passed, but he was like, oh, my man, So Hayward Patterson. I'm just reading some of the things, and I think this is from NBC. Hayward Patterson, 67-year-old driver, was loading groceries into his car for a client, and that's how he was. And he was an officer at his church.
Okay, I didn't realize.
Yeah, an officer at his church, a deacon at his church, and these are people. I'm going to use a scripture today in a little while of the things that God hates. And one of the things God hates is he who sheds innocent blood. And like every one of these people did not walk in there for it. And I know you got to get inside, but let me see if I missed anybody. No, I missed a lot of people. Pearlie Young was able to stop by Elam.
Yeah.
Another servant of God.
Everybody kind of knew her just from being in church.
Yeah, it was.
If you ever went to his Church of God in Christ, you saw her somewhere, some service, some concert. She was there.
Yeah. So she's going to be missed, and I did have a chance to spend some time with Bishop Young right before her services the other day. I mentioned Ruth Whitfield, Mother Whitfield, Celestine Cheney. And I'm going to find the granddaughter of Celestine Cheney, 65, describes her grandmother as, quote, the sweetest person ever, with an energy that was contagious and made everyone feel at home. Kayla Johnson says she was always there for me. Johnson says she learned of the death of her grandmother, who had beaten cancer and just celebrated her 65th birthday from her sister. Look what we have here. You'll switch out with the mayor. We got the mayor of the city of Buffalo. You want to say hi to the people on the radio? All right, the mayor. This is what we were just talking about how we go to these services, and it's like I'm not here politically. I want to be there just to be there. And the mayor and I walked through the services for Miss Young, who we're talking about now, and it was an honor to just be able to just wave to people, and I call it the power of presence.
Yes.
To be able to just be present, and for people to know I stopped by. And he's had a busy week, as we all have. But I think when you're the head of a city, it hits a whole lot differently.
By the way, when you look at how Buffalo handled this tragedy
come
compared to
on.
what happened in Texas, I hate to say it, but we're in a better place. I finally found a blessing in what we experienced.
Yeah.
When these people had to wait almost an hour for
Yeah.
the police to even show up, and our show
Yeah.
spontaneously.
Yeah,
I mean,
an hour.
You can't appreciate
Thank
that
you,
too
Mayor.
much.
We really appreciate it. He stayed out of camera shot, but he's here. Hey, the police chief is here, who called me right away. Monique, when she left the house, we didn't know what had happened, and she calls me and she said she got some report. Somebody called her, and she said, nobody called you? And I was like, no. I looked down. Yes, they had. And he called, and he not only called once, he called consistently and constantly. Barbara Lark called, and so we were well informed. Thank you, Commissioner. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Because when
I
you
texted him this morning to say exactly what I
wow.
just said.
Well, when you are on these scenes, you can't think of everybody you need to call. You know what I mean? So even if he hadn't called, you just go like, he needed to be paying attention at that moment to what they were paying attention to.
And they did pay attention.
They paid attention to it. So
In a way that probably saved a lot of lives.
absolutely. And you know what? I'll talk about that next week. But yeah, I'll talk about that next week. We're going to talk to these families. I know I had to. Y'all tell me who I'm missing, because I know I did not read off all names. Andre McNeil. And was that one whose baby, the 3-year-old?
Yes.
So 3-year-old, his baby was in church last Sunday. No, the Sunday before.
The Sunday
Like
after.
this has been a long time. His baby was here. Of course, they had the I guess, community birthday party for him.
Birthday party,
Like,
yeah.
this is, I agree with you. Like, seeing the strength of Buffalo through this tragedy, seeing nobody, as has been said over and over, seeing nobody trashing their own community, tearing up their own community, and it's so important in the honor of those whom we've lost. Yeah, you can say hi. Come on in.
The electeds can come in and wave.
Yeah, you can come in and wave. We all right. We promise not to ask any tough. Oh, we've got the congressman here who was on scene, who has been there every minute. We have Senator Tim Kennedy who is sticking his head in. And thank you for what you did in a health situation. I understand the other day.
Yes, he saved Malcolm's life.
I have taken classes in what do you call it? CPR.
CPR, yes.
I don't know how to do CPR to this minute.
Well, you don't have to do the mouth part anymore. It's all compression.
Well, you were a healthcare. Well, you still are a healthcare professional,
occupational
right?
Therapist.
Did you want to come in and say a word? We switch out and come on. Got the Undertaker here. What's his name?
Daryl Saxon.
That's Daryl.
Daryl who? Daryl Johnson? Daryl Williams? Daryl Smith. Daryl Saxon is in the house, and they've just been visiting. Yeah, Tim, you went into action.
Yeah.
Tell us a brief part of the story. April, the chairwoman, who I just was talking about you and thanking you, because right away you went into action to make sure there were healthcare professionals there. And I'm begging for a little time, and we're gonna figure that out. But it was not in any way disrespect. All I have is respect for you and the county for jumping in right away and making sure. I talked to a young lady who's been up there yesterday, and she was like, there were so many people who came who had never sought mental health help. So that's what, when you talk about working together as a community, if you boost what the county is supposed to be doing, and you boost what the city's supposed to do, you boost what the state, and we don't let other people come in and tear us apart, let's keep the focus that we didn't do this, but we can help to make it better. But let's keep the focus on what it was. Tim Kennedy, the other day, you're at an event, you're at the birthday party.
Yeah, Bishop, thank you very much. Great to see you, by the way.
You too.
Majority Leader.
Unfortunately for this, but.
The mayor, the chairwoman. On Sunday, we were celebrating the life of Zaire Goodman, that God spared, the daughter, the son of Zanetta Everhart, who's my head of diversity and inclusion in my office, and who is the daughter of Charles Everhart, right here at
Yes, that's right. That's right.
And at that event, a great leader in our community, Marnetta Malcolm, had an episode. She all of a sudden didn't have a pulse. We came upon her. It was a team effort, Bishop. Myself, Tiara Massenberg.
You got the name.
She goes by Tab. She's a registered nurse.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, she jumped into action.
So I haven't even heard, thanks for bringing it up,
yeah.
and I'm glad we had this platform where we can celebrate others, because that's the first time
Yeah.
I've heard that.
And Mo Sambundu, Mohammed Sambundu. So the three of us all knew CPR. First we checked her. She didn't have a pulse, no breathing. And, we just looked at each other. We knew what we had to do. And I told everybody there, Bishop, because our prayers were answered. This is important. First thing I did before I laid a hand on Marnetta, I said to everybody, start praying. And it was like a chorus of angels in that room at that moment, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And I saw some of the folks that were in that room yesterday, and I told them that, I seared into my memory is their voices praying as we were giving these compressions. I then called for an AED machine that the security guard there ran and got. We were at Canisius College. Came back, shocked Marnetta twice. This is all over 10 minutes, by the way.
I feel the trauma of it, of the moment, like the emotions of it.
Yeah, man. And then, the fire department showed up. So, the heroes of the fire department, first responders showed up.
Has she come to by then?
No.
Right. The majority leader talked to her this morning.
Spoke to her this morning. But at that moment, she was still out when the firefighters showed up. So she had no pulse. She was not breathing. They continued to do the chest compressions. This after probably 8 to 10 minutes. And then they had the bag under the oxygen. They shocked her again.
Wow.
And, within a minute or so, all of a sudden, she started gasping for air.
Thank God.
Thank
God.
God. Right.
Thank God. Thank God.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was definitely divine.
Thank you for sharing that moment with us. Marnetta is such a hard worker in our community. She was there, I don't know if she's there every day. I know every time I went on Jefferson, she was there.
Yeah.
And
Sunday.
talking about change and talking about what she was going to do. And she was just wearing herself. She was genuinely concerned and upset.
Yes, sir.
And it was real. It was not for the cameras. It was what she does. So thank God that God brought her back, because that's harrowing.
Yeah.
So I know it has been busy. Did you want to come in, Congressman, and say a few words? Come on, Tim Kennedy, thank you. We'll give you the CPR award for bravery. And you were a physical therapist? What were you? Occupational therapist. Because I remember praying at your swearing in. And that's why I said you are still a health care professional. We have our congressman here. Thank you so much for being here. You were on the scene right away. I think you arrived right when I arrived. We both arrived at about the same time. It's been a busy week. We are really today highlighting the people who have gone on. And we decided that we were going to save politics for after the funerals and all of that. You've been around all of these families all week. What's your heart saying right now?
We have to do better on behalf of our community, on behalf of our nation. Our nation is broken. And these were individuals that were mothers and grandmothers, fathers and grandfathers, young adults. They were a retired police officer,
Yes.
a retired teacher. The anti-gun safety legislation people will always say that the best way to keep a bad man with a gun is give a good man a gun. And we saw that the police officer had a gun, but he was helpless against someone that possessed, at 18 years old, a weapon of mass destruction and had body armor. 81% of Americans support extensive background checks. 64% of Americans support a categorical ban on assault weapons. Assault weapons are made to do one thing, to kill people. So, Bishop, what I saw is a city coming together, our faith community, our political community, our law enforcement community.
Yes.
And I always remember there's certain things that stick out over the past 14 days. But at about 3 o'clock on Jefferson Avenue, right off of Jefferson Avenue, I saw 2 black women, young, just saying to each other, why do they hate us? And there's no room in this world for the white supremacy, the blatant racism, which is an obliteration of somebody else's soul if you don't see the full person. We are all children of God.
That's right.
You know better than anybody.
Yeah.
And our secular prayer is that we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Not the promise of it, but the pursuit of it. Mm-hmm. And if those words don't include everybody, then they're no good to anybody.
Yeah.
So I see a community that's demonstrated, as you have said many times throughout this, with great wisdom. There was no looting. Mm-hmm. There was no retribution. Mm-hmm. All the words and the actions that I've observed over the past 14 days is about healing. Mm-hmm. It's about love. It's about eradicating hate. It's about all the things that we should expect from a civil society. We have a lot of work to do.
Yes. Matt Brown tells a story. He was on Jefferson, and there was an older gentleman, and there was a younger gentleman, and there was a kind of argument that went on as the older gentleman suggested to the younger gentleman, you should put on a shirt. I guess the young man was outside without a shirt. And there's this argument that starts up, and the young man kind of goes at the older man, and Matt said, I was like, God, this ain't my problem. And then he decides, I got to step in. So Matt steps in, calms down the young man, and they part ways. He says later he sees the young man, and the young man comes up to him and says, thank you, I was wrong. And it was, people were, understandably so, there was a lot of tension. But probably that would have ended a lot different if these 3 generations hadn't have said, this is not the time, and figured it out. And I pray in our community that when we have buried the last person, I think tomorrow, Mother Whitfield tomorrow, and we talk about next steps that I won't talk about today, because today is all about them, is that we will stay that united. Because if we stay that united, we can see the change. And if we don't let people peel us off, and I'll say it, and then since I'm getting ready to get off the air, what some people don't understand is that white supremacy is real.
It's real.
And white supremacy is right here.
It's right here.
And sometimes it's white supremacists that underhandedly get us to fight with each other so that we have no progress. Katrina Martin is on this. She's thanking you. She said that the congressman, yes, he was with me, held my hand, hugged me, and embarrassed me, and made me feel safe. But she's one who knows how the internet, because somebody used her name, tried to get her to do something that was from Russia. And so we got to be careful, because white supremacists are not all walking around with assault weapons. They're not all walking around with hoods on. Some of them are in powerful places that then pick us off and get us to start fighting one another so that the focus is off.
It's the Willie Lynch syndrome.
Absolutely. And we got to be careful about that. We got to be careful. Listen, folks, I got to go and get ready for a service. I know that I have another 20 minutes on the air, but these are tough times right now, and I'm trying to be like water. I'm trying to get in where I fit in and do what I'm supposed to do and then be out of the way. But today's show is dedicated to all of the victims, to every single one of them. And on social media, you can see their picture there. And to everybody who was in that store, to every person who tried to make a call, to every person who helped other people get out of that store safely or try, and to their families, their children. Like, our hearts were with you. We'll do the politics later. But right now, it's all about your healing and our healing. Folks, get down there to Johnny B. Wiley, 1 to 9. If you don't even think if you need the help. If you need to talk to somebody, go down. They're compassionate. They're caring. And if we have more of this in our community, we'll be better because of it. Until next week. Oh, I'm sorry. Hobson's, the Dr. Dry Cleaner, 874 East Delavan, pays the bills. Thank you, Mrs. Hobson, for continuing to pay the bills so that we can have these type of discussions. Folks, go over to Hobson's, because the reason we were able to talk about this today is because of Hobson's, the Dr. Dry Cleaning. And then, of course, one who has laid one of the victims to rest, Brian K. Lewis Funeral Home. 3 locations to serve you in your hour of need. Thank God that he's there. Brian K. Lewis. Until next week, power to the people.